December 13th. I'm Amy Corr, and I'm joined by Kevin Van Eck, and here we are out of our Goose Island office. So we are excited because guess what? We've got a great interview today. That's right, interviewing is back. Kevin, are you ready? Ready to ask some good questions?
It's been a while since we've had an interview, so the good news is we have a great guest on today that's going to make it really easy and a lot to share.
That's right. We are thrilled to have Maria DelBoccio out of our Arlington Heights office. Maria runs one of the best teams in all of Chicagoland. She is really well respected, but she is also just an amazing human. So make sure to grab your coffee and let's get ready to chat with Maria.
Hi, good morning, Maria.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And we have limited time, unfortunately, because I know we could spend a couple of hours with you and learn so much. So let's get right into it. So the first question is, you've been in business since 2002. So what is it about real estate, and how do you know, how did you know at that time that this career is right for you?
So out of college, I went to a corporate job. And I quickly learned in 9 months that when someone else had the ability to determine what my ceiling was, that wasn't the right place for me. So I quickly realized that the ability to understand that I was the captain of my ship and I determined how fast I went down that runway and what my max potential was only my ability. That's when I knew that real estate was a great place for me.
That's cool. So you knew you were in control of how high or how far you wanted to go.
You got it.
I love that. I love that because I think that is why so many people do decide that this is an amazing career. It's amazing, but it can also be scary, right? Because you do get to be essentially your own CEO, whether you like it or not. So let's talk about being CEO. Let's talk about the fact that this is business planning season, right? And so for every company, we always take a look at how we did last year and what our plans are for next year. So tell me what you and your team are looking at as you are getting ready for 2023. What are some of the things that you are putting into your business plan?
We're kind of understanding that the last 2 years of the market was an anomaly. So, it's not traditional real estate. And we're looking at how did we successfully grow our business from the start? And what it comes down to going back to the basics. The everyday rhythms that we put into place and treating it like a business, because we all were kind of just riding on roller skates, just trying to figure out day by day since COVID, how we're going to make it to tomorrow. Well, now that we actually are going into what I consider a more regulated market, again, going back to the basics are going to be key. How did we start and what was the path that we took to get here? And some of those examples are farming, hot buys to clients, Sphere, working your database, working with your past clients, and then staying in contact with people on a 6-month schedule.
Love it. Love going back to the basics because, like you said, over the last few years in the anomaly years, it's a lot of us have gotten away from that.
Absolutely.
So I think we mentioned, you've been in the business since 2002. I think one of the things that's unique is we've had so many agents join the industry over the last number of years and still continuing to join. And one of the things that we know and have learned about you is that at the very beginning, you did a lot of the right things. And when it came to marketing or some of the things you just said apply, let's dig in a little deeper there, especially for new agents or those maybe on a smaller budget. What were some of the things that you did or that now you recommend that new or agents just getting started in the business, what should they do?
Well, I always say the first thing is that you need to treat it like a business. Like I said before, I feel like a lot of people think that they're going to just step into the world of real estate and have a 6-figure income, overnight. I feel like setting realistic expectations, and then you want to follow the path of what other people in the business have done successfully to grow their business. So at the beginning, you don't have those big budgets. And so you have, tools that has provided you with that are part of your package for working with such a wonderful company. For example, your CRM. Making sure that your database is up to date, carving out time once a week to manage that CRM, add people in, maybe move them to a B list versus an A list. And I always say social media is so big. Almost everyone we know has a social media account. we look at it as a free billboard. So, and then keeping track of what engages individuals and what they feel valued information is versus something that doesn't bring you any traction. So bringing value to those social media outlets goes a long way.
I love that, because the thing is that social media too, it really doesn't cost anyone anything other than time, energy. And, I'm kind of curious for you in social media, what do you feel has been sort of the biggest win for you on social media? Because, it isn't just posting, but I think it is kind of having a certain finesse and putting some of the right content out there. What are you doing that you feel you're seeing success in as it relates to the social media aspect?
What we changed for 2022 was we tried to get in front of the camera. Unfortunately, something that a lot of us are scared to do. But 100%, I can guarantee you that you have more views and more followers will come to your page when they know that you're a real person with real valuable information. We started doing small clips within our own listings and integrating those with one-on-one touch points on social media. So video is really our focus this year.
I love it. That's great. So let's talk we talked a little bit about your business planning and some of the things. I know you talked about going back to basics in 2023, but if you were to kind of advise or say if there were two things that you're really going to lean hard into for next year, what are the top two things that you think are going to really create success as you get into next year?
I feel when people are leading into a market that there's a little hesitation as to where are we going to go. We just hit the top. When you're at the top, you have nowhere to go but down. Typically, what a lot of agents start to do is pull back on their marketing. And they kind of take their little nest egg and say, well, I'm going to save it for a rainy day. My method is that's when you put the pedal to the metal. And you have free resources to use. Again, your social media. Open houses are a great way for people to be able to not only sell the listing that they're sitting at, but to get a good buyer load of new clientele. Farming, you could start with a small farm. That's how we started. We actually this was, 20 years ago, but we self-sealed our envelopes and we started with just a couple of blocks. You have to also remember that there's no instant gratification, right? It's going to take some time to build. Once we saw that small build and we had one deal off of our farm, we expanded it another few blocks. So just gradually growing and testing what works for you and what doesn't. Everybody has a different sphere of influence, whether you have kids in school, whether you join some networking groups because you're active in a certain element, using what you're best at and then implementing those skills that work with that trait.
That's great. And it's obvious. One of the things that we know that you do is you run a very successful team. So it's not just you doing this, it's also your team members, and you pass this along to all of them. Tell us what it's like. Let's take it up just one more level. What is it like as a team leader? What are the key 2 or 3 things that other team leaders should do, or those thinking about starting a team should do? What are the key traits, or what do you do that creates this success?
So we grew slowly. So we started with one individual. He's still on our team 10 years later. We're happy to say that. We call him our original boss. But I think as a team leader, what we need to do is recognize that every person is different, right? So we have people that are really good with the senior market, and we've kind of steered them into avenues that will allow them to tap into that. We have people that have a database because their kids are in school. We have people that are very active in certain sports. So tapping into a natural audience is key. And again, some people are better at social media. We have people of all different ages on our team as well. We have some that are super young and spunky and can make an Instagram reel in 30 seconds. And then we have others that really don't know how to share a post on Facebook. But that's okay. Their business has grown in different ways. So identifying really what you feel is best for each broker and then assisting them in following those routes.
And it's my understanding I hear your team is a ton of fun, and you do a lot together, and I think you do a lot to support the synergy of the team. Like, do you do regular team meetings, or what do you do to kind of make sure that there is sort of that synergy, not just them growing their business, but that you all feel like you're part of something together?
Yep. So we do bi-weekly team meetings. They're 1 hour. We do a roundtable version for one of them, and then we do kind of a direct, let's talk about the things that we're dealing with in today's market for the second one. We've also started doing boot camps for smaller groups. So we'll have 3 individuals, and then each boot camp session will roll into the next, where we say, let's go through and let's look at our databases today. Let's make sure that we know that the first Monday of every month we're writing anniversary cards. So it's a little bit of accountability, and then implementing new things or trying new things that we haven't tried in years past. So I feel like it's a little bit of everything. We also try to go out in the evening once a quarter. If we hit a big milestone, we love to celebrate. At the end of the day, we're more of a family. We spend a ton of time together. So I feel like bringing that dynamic, yes, it is a business, but at the end of the day, we spend a lot of time together. So bringing it in as one unit.
Yeah, and you want to enjoy that, right? Because you're probably spending a lot of time together, if we know anything about real estate, right? So I want to ask this. I want to talk a little bit about tech and systems. What are, 1 or 2 things that you feel like your team as a group are really leaning into technology-wise? Maybe it's in platform, or, just share, what do you feel are some of those secrets to making sure that you all stay organized?
Again, I think the CRM is great. It's a great kind of automated tool once you have it set up. The key is getting it set up. We've focused a lot this year on the DLPs as well, using that for our client database that 3 to 5 years ago have purchased, and we know that there's been a significant increase in value in their home. So kind of just, again, dangling the carrot. It has resulted in listings. It has resulted in sales. So the fact of the matter is that it works. So using those tools, again, in a different, spacing them out accordingly. So CRM and DLP are great.
I love hearing that, by the way, as we are heading up coaching and training and encouraging everyone to do the same. So I love hearing that.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the basics of what you said, right? It just reinforces, you said talking with past clients and working your database. And those are the 2, key tools to differentiate and tell you who to reach out to.
Absolutely.
Cool. So let's take a time warp and let's go back to 2002. And what, a lot has happened over the 20 years you've been in the business, right? So, and you've learned a lot. And what would you go back and tell your 2002 self now?
So I always say you have to find your reason, right? So what's the reason that you're in this business? Define that. And once you have that as, this is why I am doing this business, and understanding that it's going to take time. And throughout the process, you have high highs and you have low lows. And it's never going to be an automatic uphill climb. To have patience. And again, just lean back on the systems that you have in place. Make a schedule. Every day there is something that you can work on in the world of real estate. And so again, just keep pushing forward.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I would tell myself not to stress out so much.
Right.
I think.
Right. You learn what the big deals are and what are the things that you just need to take a deep breath and move forward.
Totally.
Exactly.
Totally. Yeah. All right. So what are you most excited for as we move into 2023? And what, opportunities are you seeing are on the horizon for next year?
So I'm actually excited that it's going to be a regular market. I feel like the ability to have that one-on-one relationship with our clients kind of went away, right? We were running with contracts in our car or on our phone or on our tablets saying, nice to meet you. There's 7 offers. Let's put it all together. And the core of this business is relationship building, right? So we're going to build our future business off the business that we have today. We were not able to build those relationships as we had in years past. I'm really looking forward to being able to have conversations, taking people to a couple of houses and not feeling like you're going to lose out. We need to write it today. Understanding, making sure it's a good fit. and not always going into a multiple offer situation where people feel like their back is against the wall. It's going to be good. This is the market that I built my business in, a regular market. So again, highs and lows, and just focusing on building those relationships is what I'm excited for.
That's super. We're really excited about that too, because I think it's also, we mentioned that a lot of agents have gotten into the business. I think this is an opportunity to grab market share back when it's not so easy and you do have to get back to the basics like you're saying. And unfortunately, not every agent's going to be able to do that. But you and your team, you're doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like they're going to see the value of using a qualified broker with a good brand behind them. The last 2 years, a lot of people felt I could sell my house on my own and sell it for $100,000 more than the broker can sell it for. And so I feel like the value of a good broker with a good brand and good marketing is going to come back into full effect.
Yeah. And that value allows you to create that relationship based on the professionalism or the value you provide.
Yeah. We love that. We love what you're saying, because I think we, very much believe that. And we think for all of our agents out there that next year is going to bring a ton of opportunity. So, well, Maria, we appreciate your time. I wish we could talk to you for another 30 minutes, because I know there's so much that you can share and just a ton of experience. But we thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. And to all of you out there, thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday morning. We hope you make it a great week. And until we see you next time, remember, you got this.